Alright, hey, we're back! Usually they ask for ready, so I could have done it better, but oh well. The point is we're back, and I'm just glad that we are. So, unfortunately, it was longer. It ended up being about 10 minutes anyway. Even though they came in saying 4, and then 1, and then whatever. Apparently, Stats and Ryung actually know each other quite well, and if they don't, they are very good at discussing things with people they don't know. They were chatting up a storm.
I'm concerned and confused about why I have 90 MS on the Korean server right now. Considering the last 3 games we've been in, I've been over 500.
I don't know. Maybe because Olivia made it? Well, no, the last 3 games.
Yeah, she made one.
I don't know. Anyway, we'll see how the, I guess, the friendliness of these two affects their abilities with each other.
There we go. There we go. That's 500.
Oh, okay. It's fixed itself. By breaking itself. In the bottom right, in the first semifinal today, it is the blue Terran, Ryung.
And his opponent in the opposite side of the map. We don't get to see this guy too often. It's the very rare barcode known as Stats.
Yeah. Gotta be honest, Stats not my favorite Protoss, not one that I really pay attention to, like if I was gonna watch the Korean leagues, but I do know that he has had impressive stats. That wasn't even on purpose. Seriously, let's
that
look
was
this way.
Great. Let me. Hey, John, you gotta hear this. It's so funny. Okay, hey, say it again, Summer. Say it again.
No.
Hello?
No.
All right, shut it down, John. Go on.
Okay, that happened. Anyway.
People who watch the Corsair Cup will understand what just happened.
I'm sure they will. Well, what was I talking about? Oh, right, his stats. Yeah, he's actually had impressive runs, and he's been looking good in most of his matchups, I think. But while his I guess like I said, like all of his stats are good, and like he's been like actually labeled as one of the best Protosses, and people will argue all the time about like whether he's better than Zest and whatnot. Zest had that like pretty much a downtrend lately, and he's still playing I guess in the Casper Cup right now, but Stats just is like, despite how good he is, really hasn't gotten the same fame that Zest has, right? Even though I think his PvT is actually pretty good too. It's not something that I think everyone finds to be impossible to beat. But since Ryung knows Stats so well, or I assume so, based off how much they talked, he might be like, shit, I hate Protoss, and Stats is a really good Protoss, and I never went against him in practice, so this is gonna suck.
There's my explanation for Stats. He's not super duper handsome like the other guys.
Well, that's true. I mean, Zest is pretty up there.
So I'm just saying, esports is a shallow, horrendous game that has bullshit politics to looks.
Sure. I feel like I haven't seen this dynamic in a while.
No, not the Marine vs. Stalker. He's got to stay on the high ground. I was just going to mention, though, in the lobby, Ryung, who does not talk to me too often, as he believes that I jinx his games, it was kind of just saying, I hate Protoss, and I said, me too, and he whispered me a couple of hearts, and he was going to ask me something. He's like, Rifkin, can you tell me? And then the game started. I was like, no, I'll never know what he wanted to know.
He's gonna ask your advice on how to beat Protoss.
Oh, okay. I'd say beat Protoss.
Nah, man, PvP's a terrible matchup.
PvT is interesting, though. Okay, so we regularly, you guys hear us constantly say, like, okay, it's better for Protoss than it is for Terran, this, that, and the other. But it seems to be the players who are best, it's not even anticipating, but those who just get really aggressive and kind of play around the eventual assumed all-in that the Protoss will throw at them seem to be the ones who have the best results of the matchup right now. It really doesn't feel like this matchup is one that is going well for those who try to take this to the late game, to take it to the macro game. Now, you guys might have statistics out there, notice that I said it like that say otherwise. I'm just speaking out of the games that we see cast here on the channel.
Well, this was not combined with the Widow Mines. They were left at home, so not really destined to do very much, especially since Stats has units spread throughout his bases.
It was a really interesting pickoff for that reason too, right? Like, you go for the scan, you pick up the Observer, that's always nice, but usually you do that for the Widow Mine or something, not just because, well, it's there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's a bad move out of Ryung. It's just certainly odd to see because it wasn't accompanied by that Widowmine, because there's no detection necessary.
Yeah. I thought maybe his plan was to keep all of his units alive so that he could combine it with the Liberator later, but no, just more multi-pronged harassments. Again, Marines without stim, not really supposed to be able to take out a third base, especially if it has health on it. You know, it's not brand new. What? What? What was that? He just like started spreading his units while he was being attacked. That was weird.
I think it's a bit of miscontrol. A lot have to do with the fact that he's now looking, both players, in two separate locations. Yeah.
Well, it's just so weird because it looked like he was splitting preemptively for like a disruptor or something, which is like, why would you micro that much if you were distracted? But anyway, I think the AI just did it that way. Liberator did go back into the main base, and they were both distracted, so multiple worker kills on either side. Biggest difference right now is that, of course, Stats has a Nexus about to finish. Fortunately, Ryung does lose that medevac, but he almost takes out a Stalker with him. Liberator gets cleaned up. Third base is only just now started. Observer sees that. No upgrades to Ryung quite yet. Stats does have Blink, and is, yeah, now going on to Resident Enclave. So, I mean, it's not like anyone's done anything super wrong or there's been super, like, great engagements either way, but I would put Stats in a very comfortable position, especially since this Observer isn't being denied. It literally sees all it would ever want to be able to see. Timing on third bases and army composition.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Finally takes it out.
Ryung with some pretty keen eyes this game, gotta say.
Yeah. I feel like ultimately, though, killing the observers has not affected the game that much. So that observer already saw production going up in third CC timing. The observer over here wasn't even that important because he did not follow up with Widow Mines, so... maybe the more that he kills the observers, the more chances Stats will not remake them, and that's certainly something, but so far he's uncomfortable.
Well, not too common of a thing anymore. Like, it was back in HOTS. Like, players just got so used to playing with that sight when they became blinded, they didn't know what to do. And it wasn't about not having detection, but it was about always knowing where the army was moving at all times. That observer clearly didn't see this coming. He will get intercepted in the south, and this warp prism is going to accidentally get picked off, I do believe. Ryung is stopped, though, with the army.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
It still may work.
Yeah, the Marine almost sees it. This is just going... They're going to pass each other, basically. Now, this was overseas... Oh, no, I thought he saw the rally of units, but that's just the rally of SCVs. So I don't think he realizes it's coming off to the left side. It's not that bad, though. He doesn't realize it's coming from the left side. Okay, now he does. Oh, okay. He saw something, but even if he didn't... You know, he still had his army in position to protect his natural. It wasn't like he was over here, which maybe Ryung was trying to have happen as he runs in with those leftover Marines, but doesn't quite work out that way.
By the way, some people in chat trying to guess what Ryung was going to ask me, and someone's saying, maybe Ryung was going to ask you for your builds, Rifkin. To which Dimension promptly replies about proxy battlecruisers. Yo, I never proxied battlecruisers, okay? I just went straight up battlecruisers, yo. Ballin' style.
I thought you proxied him.
Well, you don't know me, clearly.
Yeah, clearly I don't know you at all. So the Adepts transferring... most of them are canceled.
I like these two that go by, though. They're going to walk to that mineral line. Third base is attacked at the same time, and now Ryung's got to split his forces.
Yeah, he does it pretty well, though.
Well, he actually walls up so the natural base isn't in trouble at all. I like that. Quick reaction. Templar being warped in. I'm curious to see if that'll be straight up for Archons, if he's looking to move towards that Storm Tech. Doesn't have Storm Research just yet.
Well, that is the case. He should merge them soon. But I think he's focusing on combination of the army and the Warp Prism. They didn't really do a whole lot. 11 SCVs isn't bad, but on 3 bases, it's also not super fantastic. Oh god, what can the Terran do now? And of course, he had to lose the Adepts in exchange for that. Does start the Storm upgrade, but that's still 70 seconds out. So the High Templars, you have to be kept safe until then. And Ryung's moving out right now, before that Storm's done, before the upgrades are done. They're at even upgrades right now. And he has got some pretty key units. 4 Liberators, 2 tanks, a couple of Widow Mines. This could go really poorly for Stats if he takes the wrong engagement. 2 Liberators on Siege. Gonna try and protect the tanks a little bit more, I suppose. Force field's not looking so impressive. They're kind of covering the Widow Mines.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit awkward because it actually prevents him from moving in. So almost like safety force fields more than anything else. But it looks like the Nexus is going to go down. There's nothing he can do about that. Bottom side of the map, though, not without taking some damage himself. Ryung has a depth slip into his mineral lane once again and got the SCVs over here. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, but he reacts pretty quickly, I would say. Again, 14 SCVs is not super devastating. He does get all the high Templar.
So close to finishing, and he's not going to have any Templar left for Storm at this point. Those are the 4 warped in a while ago. Those are the 4 with a lot of energy.
I'm not even sure they would have been so helpful. If they had gotten all of their storms, all 4, 7, whatever storms they had on the bio, okay, that is a lot of splash damage. But it's so much more about these positional units, the tanks, Liberators, and Widow Mines. He does kind of pre-split his Adept. He takes out the tanks. Ryung is unable to micro them. And he will be able to clean this up. But reinforcements are coming in now. Where are the medevacs? 4 of them still alive. Not here, the majority of the army. They went off over here. The Immortals are taken out, so still goes better for Ryung. And the SCV losses just aren't really problematic. He stayed, I think, above 50 every single time the Adepts ran in.
Yeah, the 2-2 finishing up now for Ryung. Upgrades will be a little bit more evened up, but I don't think that that's going to be hugely problematic for him in regard. Like, Stats isn't worried about being behind in upgrades this game. Stats is going to be worried about being behind an army this game.
Yeah, army, definitely. Upgrades even. Incomes swinging way back into Ryung's favor, killing that third base. Orphism goes down, and Ryung is definitely taking control over this game.
Really
I like his position a lot. The game isn't over, but Stats will have to rely on a couple of key things happening. One, Stalkers being able to take out whatever they can, basically. Medevacs, Liberators, Widow Mines, actually getting some of these key units down before they can even engage. And then 2, maybe relying on Storms a little bit to get the bio down to, critical health, which certainly can happen. There's a lot more bio, I feel, right now. It's not as much reliance on these super strong units like Liberators and tanks, although he is still building Liberators. Scan sees the army move out. Oh my god, there's so many High Templars left back here. Why would you do this? It's so scary. Okay. Covered.
Storms are never bad, but not when they're in the wrong position. And I think Storms defensively right now would be way more important than Storms offensively.
There's no Mothership core, so there's also no pylons anymore. I think that Nexus is going to go down. Stats can't really do much about it. Tries to target fire a couple of these High Templars, stop the Storms from running through, but splitting would also do the trick, I feel. As again, the Liberators are the things that are zoning everything out. More Liberators join here, and I just think Ryung's won. This is, yeah, that's it. This is it.
Super impressive to see. GG, game 1 goes to Ryung.
I thought Protoss was too difficult, Ryung. What's wrong with you?
You know what it was? I put some probes and some nuke emoticons in the chat before the game got going.
Ah, that helps.
It pretty much carried him.
I put stim, so...
You put stim because you're trying to wake me up, though.
What? No?
Oh. Well, I thought that's what it was because they just typed like that 50 ZZZZZZ line out.
Oh, no, I didn't even really recognize that you did that.
I thought you were just like, Rivka, wake up, stim back.
Nah, I was, giving Ryung some help, like, use stim more.
There you go.
Yeah. And it worked, Did he use a nuke that game? No. Use stim. Tell you that much. I got tired too. It is now Stats map choice. It is still a best of 3. Because it's the weekly. The last weekly of this month, in fact. And Super is still waiting for his opponent on the other side. Either Alive or Lucira. He could have a fairly balanced top 4. Oh, either way we'd have a balanced top 4.
Hey, as long as it's not PvT finals in the Olimoleague, then I'm certainly surprised.
Well, it still could be. So, could be Alive versus Ryung. That would just be the way things go.
That would be such a cliche Olimoleague finals. But a good one, I'd say at that. I will say, I am actually hoping to see Ryung. Like, this would be cool. You've got people like Stats, Innovation, Lucira in the tournament. to not see those 3 in the top 4 or top 2 type thing, it's certainly alarming and weird, but it's also cool to see people like Ryung and Super and Alive, like the regular contenders of the Olimoleague, be the ones rewarded with the cash and the money for showing up to play. Not to say that like there is no entitlement here. They don't deserve it more than anyone else. It's just nice to see as someone who we regularly get to cast those guys. Those are the guys I want to keep seeing in the finals.
There be some like home turf advantage. It's like Masa in Canada.
Yeah, if you win like 7 Olimoleague weeklies, you start every finals with like a +1 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And since it's the Olimoleague, you start with a +1 at Protoss too, because Protoss never wins these things.
Neeb did, actually, funny enough, speaking of that crazy guy.
Yeah, Super won as well. He was one of the first winners of the monthlies, right? Wasn't it Super versus Journey?
If you say so.
No,
my memory is not going to stretch that far back, and I think it's just foolish that you think it would.
No, he didn't. Never mind. Who was it? Oh no, it was. Sorry, I was looking at Bjorn's medal count, which is just not gonna be compared to. Oh, Kabir won 8. Bjorn won 11. The monthlies, though. The monthlies. Oh, it's Younghwa. Oh my god, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Versus Journey. That was the first monthly that we cast in the Olimoleague.
I missed that dude. That dude was good.
Yeah, that was a really fun finals too. But anyway,
him and Myungsik.
Yeah, Myungsik still occasionally shows up, but he hasn't won anything. Not funny. So it's New Gettysburg. In the bottom left, it was this guy's map choice. It is the blue Protoss stats.
And his opponent. In the bottom right, it is going to be the red Terran player, Ryung.
Oh yeah. Yep. Looking very strong last game. I mean, it was a fairly standard macro game. For the the most part, again, a little bit of harassment here and there, warp prism, medevac drop, killing observers, but they both got to a pretty comfortable position, and it just came down to that one push that Stats couldn't defend against, even though I'm pretty sure he knew it was coming.
I'm getting the frame problems.
Oh, it's advanced. So is it like, you have top 2 hours on Korea and then they're gonna kick you out?
Right, like I don't understand.
It's like having a visa. You don't have one, so you're not allowed to stay.
Really frustrating, dude. I don't get it. I just don't get it at this point.
Yeah, you should, I don't know. I bet some nerdy internet network guy would love to explain to see why it happens, but...
No, because they always do, and it doesn't fix anything, and everyone thinks I'm just being an idiot. It makes me feel frustrated because I'm not an idiot. And it's just BattleNet. There's literally nothing I can do about it. And when we talk to people at Blizzard about it... Anyways, you just go. I'm just giving it myself for this one.
Oh. I just want to just explain why it happens. I don't think they can never fix it. It's a mystery. Stargate's put down on the right side of the main base. I mean, that's one of the things about New Gettysburg. It's technically close by air, although you never really use that term anymore. Unfortunately, the air blockers have definitely derped out their fair share of Corruptors, Warp Prisms, Oracles, Phoenix, everything, basically. So we need to make sure to control that initially, and then it usually figures itself out. The Reaper's not going to be get in. That is definitely a downside of New Gettysburg. Not too surprised to see Stats choose this map, by the way. Again, I don't think there's, like, super big inherent advantages in the TVP matchup to the map you choose. Unlike in TVZ, where I think there are definitely, like, obvious advantages to having an increased distance. For instance, on Apotheosis or New Gettysburg, both maps chosen by Zerg. But there are a couple of things, and the Reaper denial for the Protoss is pretty big. Certainly getting the Surprise Oracle in a little bit faster can be really useful, especially if you do want to go into some type of Stargate play, which isn't super popular, but, I just brought up Myungsik, can sometimes happen. Third base on location. Stats doing a good job denying the Reaper, again with the help of the map. And he's finally going to get his own scout. The Oracle does get a little... bopped around by the air blockers, but eventually finds its way over there. Good control by him to dodge out that Wood Mine. This Wood Mine is going to be able to be passed by, but it's going to be hard to leave the base now. He knows that there's Wood Mines everywhere, but Ryung, did he see that Wood Mine move? Either way, he was going to try and kind of go in the middle, which was still dangerous, but works out, especially because Widowmine moved. And oh my god, I didn't see it move! Oh, okay. That was nice. I mean, the Oracle did a little bit of damage. It killed 9 workers. Okay, they did more than I thought. 9 workers was that good control. That little, like, tap, 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 and then continuing to micro. That's something that, like... I don't know, it's one of those things where... In StarCraft 2, I can mostly look at micro myself and be like, no, I could do that. Like, I'd probably, like, you know, not macro at the same time, but I could do that. But Oracle micro is actually something that I've never quite figured out. Getting it to glide like that. Anyway. Phoenix do follow this up. There's a Widowmine drop. A drop of any sort was expected, and it is a Widowmine drop. So the Phoenixes instantly deny this. Ryung has a bit of a surprise attack, though. Going to the north here, the Reaper, I think, was able to scout the lack of scouting. You know, he didn't have his Anog or something like that, so that thing ended up being somewhat useful. But Stats reacts fairly quickly, despite what could have been a surprise. These Marines wouldn't have Sim anyway, so I think they'd only be able to get the probes, not the Nexus. Grenade helps out a little bit with the Adept. He's gonna be able to take out 2, I think 3 of them? Maybe all 4. Yeah, all 4 now. Yeah, ooh. And maybe get a couple probes. Nah, he's gonna back off. Medevac has been trying to get back into that main base, by the way, hoping that the Phoenix would have to go to the north to take care of everything. Tries to burrow them in a surprise way. That could have worked out beautifully, but unfortunately, Stats was on top of things. Looks like he's going to get up to 5 Phoenixes, or maybe he will stop at 4. But point is, a decent enough to scare away a Medevac, a decent enough count to help out in a main engagement, not just like 1 or 2 to scare away a single Medevac every now and then. And it's going to force Ryung to get at least a couple missile turrets. So his 30C is on location. A little bit dangerous knowing that there's Phoenix outs because they could have run over immediately and picked off that SCV and given Ryung a headache. But instead they went to the main. And then they went to the natural. And they actually pick off a mule, a Medevac, still pick off the SCV. That's annoying. Doesn't even lose a Phoenix for it. Really nice air control from Stats here. He is going to transition to Adepts on the ground. He might get Blink eventually. Yeah, we're going to go for a Gateway Army. That's a pretty nice upgrade to have. But for starters, his anti-air are the Phoenixes, so he doesn't really need Blink that quickly. Eventually the Phoenixes will die. Eventually you're just going to need more... Or you're going to rely heavier on Blink Stalkers and Stalkers in general, but this will do for now. And Stats actually looking really, really good. I mean, this has all been tiny stuff, but it's all added up in a big way. 12 workers killed isn't quite accurate to the amount of control that Stats has gotten from these openers. You know, the 9 SCVs that died first were a while ago, so they, I think, greatly impacted Ryung's economy. And then just the denial on the Medevac drop, the Marine push, the 30C for a little while. Everything has added up to Stats having a bit of a lead here. I mean, he's ahead in workers, he's ahead in army supply, he's only fallen a little bit behind on the upgrades. Doing pretty good. I don't know if he's gonna be able to actually end the game here, but there's only Marines, and their combat shields aren't done. Resident Glaives is just about to be absolutely lift that command center while you still can. 4 Phoenixes should not be able to kill this. But can he hold? Only just now Marauders are coming out. He still needs about 10 seconds left on combat shields. A little bit more, actually, 20 seconds. But it looks like Stats does not want to take the fight. I think if he knew he could transfer without combat shields finishing just then, he would have went in. But I guess he was also waiting for the sentries. Guardian Shield going to help out a lot. Widowmine only just now coming out. Could be target fired. Not going to get a shot off. SC should probably be pulled right now. They're pulled, but a little bit late, and that Widowmine on the high ground's not helping out at all. The army supply going down for Ryung, his SCV count going down, of course, more so. And it looks like Stats is going to take this back. GG. Tying the series up 1-1. There is a nice Skype ad for you guys. Improve your health.
Oh, yeah, I tried turning my camera off to see if that would help with the latency. Clearly that's not the case. Let me get that back up 1 sec.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, it's really hard for me to not get tilted about this because it's basically like, hey, now you can't participate, and it's like, cool, that feels good to know. Like, So fingers crossed, whatever Game 3 has in store doesn't produce the same lag, I guess.
You can hope. But as Ryung now chooses his map choice, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. See you soon. Welcome back, everybody. We are into game number 3. It's going to be on King Sejong Station. In the top left, as the blue Terran, he is Ryung.
And his opponent, spawning on the opposite side of the map, is going to be the red Protoss. Stats.
So, first game ends up going in Ryung's favor pretty damn well after the first engagements. Of course, it was a typical macro game before that. Second game, Stats really took control over it from the get-go, from his opener, basically, and made Ryung look almost foolish when the Adept attack finally occurred, too. So, I don't know if the same thing can actually happen. There is a chance that, you know, Ryung doesn't take the damage, and he has Widow Mines out and ready to deal with the Adepts, or he has bunkers, or he has X amount more bio, and an attack like that doesn't work. But if he gets another great start like last game, if he goes for a Stargate opener again, I could see the same thing working. The SCV, it goes to kind of an interesting location. Yeah, there we go. I was like, hey, wait a second. So a proxy factory right here. This could just be what Gumiho has done, what Byun did. They used to put it here, but I think it's been scouted too often, so now he's going to put it up here. Just hoping that the probe never takes Zelnaga, of course. And you do go for, you know, factory, then starport, then pushing the back, basically, of the rocks. So Stats, without a scout, does have no idea. No idea it's even a one-base build. He could just assume that's a command center. That's pretty bad. By the way, other side of the bracket is going to be Super versus Lucira, so pretty damn perfect top 4.
Yeah.
Protoss, Terran, and a Zerg.
Only would have made just that little bit sweeter were innovation here, but of course I think the race balance is cool to see. Now, as far as this goes, I mean, on one hand, I'm rooting for him, right? I want the proxy to work out. It's cool seeing different things, and I love when Ryung gets cheesy, but this is banking on Stats. I mean, first off, the Mothership Core's later, so that's a good thing going for Ryung. But it's really banking on Stats not paying attention to the back of his base, because you don't expect anything to be hitting this early. Or the natural base, for that matter. Either way, like, the point is, it's going to take a little bit of luck beyond Ryung's, like, decision-making and timing here.
Well, the trick about this build, and why it's not just a one-base Widow Mine drop, thanks to Paul Kapersky for the 1 month... Oh, it's a sub. It's a new sub.
No, it's a new sub. I know, Twitch Alerts is lame. It's like 1 month resub. No, it's not. Well, I guess technically it is, but thank you for the new sub. But there's a resub.
There
a live game coming in with 5 months. This is REW.
Anyway, it's not just the Widow Mine drop. He could have done that off of one base, not proxied, and then expanded. His follow-up, it does help if the Widow Mine drop can do damage and distract. But it doesn't necessarily need it to. And Sats reacts very quickly to this. But does he have the appropriate units to take care of the tank follow-up? He does actually start with the tank and then goes for the Cyclone and of course the Liberator. All positionally based units. They're going to be able to take advantage of a ledge, of a ramp. Saves the medevac too, so it can help out with the Marines. They also could have gone to the natural. Either way, as long as they're here to support the tank later on, works out fine. This is a fairly popular build in the Olimoleague, specifically on, you know, when we watch Korean Terrans. I'd be surprised if Stats just simply, you know, had no idea this was a thing. He might have forgotten about it, or just, you know, forgot to check, but I'd be truly surprised if he had no idea this was a build.
Shout out to Funky Monkey as well. Pickles are tasty, he says.
Sometimes. What? Sometimes they are.
Yeah, it depends on the type, I guess. Tank gonna get some shots off on that pylon. Of course, the Cyclone helping out with this. Stats, he's got a little bit of time. He's going across the map, and I love the idea of this War Prism, but man, he's got a lot ready to kill him back at his own base still.
Yeah. This is definitely a response, though. A very nice response by Stats. You open up with a Robo, you can do the counterattack. You open up the Stargate, you can get Phoenixes or an Oracle to also counterattack. You open up a Twilight Council, that's probably the worst option, because you're only getting upgrades on units, but it's turning into a bit of a base trade. Now, the War Prism should have just let these off in the main base, but it's being broken anyway, because Ryung didn't realize this was the case. He never got a real scout in the main base, and never saw the War Prism fly across the map, because he could have had a bunker had he known. But it looks like this engagement is still going pretty well for him. Motion Core goes down before the pylons are ready to go for the Photon Overcharge. Immortal is already almost dead. The other one did die. And I think when it comes down to army versus army, Ryung could win. Of course, he's also Terran. He can lift buildings. Stats can't. Stats actually needs to get a probe out. He already did. There you go. There goes a scouting probe. Oh, look at the Warp Prism. Oh, that's messed up by Stats. Oh no, that could have helped a lot. It could have transferred probes. It could have helped the micro on the Immortal. That would have been so helpful. Oh, it gets obliterated. That didn't work out. Tanks did a focus fire. There we go. Nice control by Ryung right there.
Yeah, and he takes out the rest of the probes too, so there's no more fodder, and the Marines look like they should be able to push it. I mean, I love the SCVs coming. This is hilarious, but it's also going to repair these damaged tanks.
Yeah, he only has so much gas to do so, but I think he has enough.
I mean, even then, just the tanks alone getting to live for 2 more shots were all they needed. Even if all the Marines were gone right now, the tanks would still be at the Stalkers. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be, I mean, like, Ryung's floating in the top left corner of the map. He knows which direction this game is going.
Yeah, he recognized it very quickly. This game is over.
Pick up the tank, migrate back just a little bit more. There's no more gas to repair with, but GG's get called. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryung knocks Stats out of the tournament. Goes out of the finals.
Yes, he does. Nice build. I think Stats was a little surprised, to be honest. He had no scouts, and when he probably was like, oh, it's that build. It was a little late. He couldn't have mentally prepared for it as soon as he maybe wanted to. The War Prism was a nice reaction. It just didn't quite work out. So Ryung advances to the finals. He'll be facing the winner of Super versus Lucira, a PvZ, and that's what we're going to be getting into next. Not sure if the Korean stream needs a 10-minute break.
I'm hoping not, but I was just going to quickly comment before we do go to our potential break here that, first off, Lucira and Super, I actually can't call that one. Like, I know it's crazy, and I know I'm, like, trying to ride this, like, I was right, told you guys so, but Innovation and Super, I knew how that was going to go from the get-go, because I've just seen too much of Super, and I know that the matchup is, like, whatever. Lucira, however, I don't actually know all that much about. I couldn't tell you how he's going to go up against this. This is going to be really interesting for me.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it turns out. Again, not sure if the Korean stream needs 10 minutes or not. We'll keep you updated in the chat. For now, we're going to go to break screen.